Welcome to Life Turns, where real emotions meet unforgettable stories. Today's story will take you through heartbreak, betrayal, and the kind of twist that makes you believe in second chances. So, let me tell you what really happened at my wedding day, a day that should have been filled with joy but turned into the darkest moment of my life. I remember standing in front of the mirror that morning, wearing the wedding dress I had dreamed of since I was a little girl. It was pure white, with delicate lace sleeves and a train that flowed behind me like a story of hope. My heart was racing with excitement, not just because I was about to marry the man I thought was the love of my life, but also because this was supposed to be my happily ever after. Everything seemed perfect. The flowers decorated the hall, my family was gathered, and I felt like I was finally living the dream. But little did I know, the nightmare was just waiting at the corner. My fiancé, Daniel, had been my rock for 3 years. He was charming, thoughtful, and made me believe in forever. Or at least, that's what I thought. He had always been close to my younger sister, Emily, but I never suspected anything unusual. She was bubbly, sweet, and sometimes overly affectionate with him, but I brushed it off as just family friendliness. Why would I suspect betrayal when love was all I believed in? As I stood in the bridal room, clutching my bouquet of roses, I expected the day to unfold like a fairy tale. My father came in to hold my hand, ready to walk me down the aisle. The music started playing, and I felt tears of joy fill my eyes. Every step down the aisle was heavy with emotions. My guests stood and smiled, cameras flashing, capturing what was supposed to be the most beautiful moment of my life. But as my eyes searched for Daniel at the altar, I noticed something strange. His smile wasn't the smile I knew. His eyes shifted nervously, glancing between me and Emily, who stood among the bridesmaids. I brushed it off, trying to stay focused. Maybe he was just nervous. Grooms get nervous, don't they? But then, when it came time for the vows, the unimaginable happened. Daniel took a deep breath, looked at me, and shook his head. "I can't do this," he whispered. The words sliced through the air, shattering everything in a single second. Gasps filled the hall, and my heart stopped beating. "What do you mean?" I managed to choke out, my voice trembling. Everyone was staring. Daniel looked down, ashamed, and then his eyes darted to Emily. My own sister. The whispers around the room grew louder, like thunder rolling across the sky. My knees felt weak, and I thought I would collapse right there in my dress. And then, the truth fell like a bomb. Daniel admitted, in front of everyone, that he had been in love with Emily, that he couldn't go through with marrying me when his heart belonged to her. The hall erupted into chaos. Guests whispered in disbelief, some even shouting in anger. My mother rushed to my side, while Emily stood frozen, her face pale and guilty. And then, before I could even process the betrayal, Daniel turned to her, holding out his hand. And the unthinkable happened. Emily didn't push him away. She didn't deny it. Instead, she let him take her hand, confirming every nightmare I never thought possible. I wanted to scream, to tear the veil from my head and run, but I stood there, numb, my soul shattered into a million pieces. How could the man I loved and the sister I trusted both betray me on the same day? I felt the ground beneath me vanish, like I was falling into an endless pit of darkness. My wedding, my dreams, my love, it all vanished in a single breath. The wedding ended not in celebration but in heartbreak. My guests left in shock, whispering about the scandal. My dress that once symbolized joy now felt like chains of humiliation. I locked myself in my room that night, sobbing until no tears were left. I swore to myself I would never forgive them, not Daniel, not Emily. They had destroyed me. But life, as painful as it is, doesn't stop. I moved away, far from home, cutting ties with both of them. The next years were filled with struggle, healing, and trying to rebuild the broken pieces of myself. It wasn't easy. Nights were long, and mornings felt empty. I questioned my worth, my choices, and even my ability to trust again. Yet slowly, with time, I found strength in my pain. And then, years later, something happened that turned everything upside down again. By then, I had found someone who truly saw me, loved me, and cherished me, my husband, Adam. He wasn't perfect, but he was real. He stood by me through every scar, every fear, and taught me how to smile again. He became my safe place, my anchor, my true forever. But fate wasn't done with me yet. One ordinary day, as I was walking into a cafe with Adam, I froze. Sitting at a table were Daniel and Emily. They were older now, but their faces were unmistakable. They were laughing, holding hands, living the life they had stolen from me. And then, they saw me. Their laughter stopped, their faces drained of color. And when Adam walked in behind me, holding my hand firmly, the look on their faces was priceless. They froze as if they had seen a ghost. The man they thought had destroyed me wasn't my ending, he was just the beginning of a new chapter. And my husband, standing tall and strong beside me, was the proof that I had risen from the ashes they left me in. When Adam's hand slipped into mine that day at the cafe, it wasn't just a simple gesture of affection, it was a declaration. His touch told the world, she is mine, and I will never let her go. And as Daniel and Emily sat there, frozen, their expressions told another story, a mix of shock, guilt, and maybe even regret. For a moment, no one spoke. The air was heavy, suffocating, as though the past had come crashing into the present in a way none of us expected. I could feel my chest tightening, not because I was scared, but because I had waited years for this silent confrontation. The girl who had once been broken at the altar was not the same woman standing there now. I had scars, yes, but I also had strength, and that strength showed in the way I stood tall beside my husband. Adam squeezed my hand, silently asking if I wanted to leave. But something deep inside told me not to run, not this time. I walked toward their table, each step echoing with the weight of old memories. Daniel's eyes darted nervously, his hand gripping Emily's tighter as though she might slip away just like he had slipped from me. Emily, on the other hand, avoided my gaze. Her head lowered, her lips trembling, her shame written across her face. It was strange, the years of pain, years of anger, and yet in that moment, I didn't feel the need to scream. I felt calm, almost powerful, as if destiny had brought me here to close a chapter that once defined me. Hello, Daniel. Emily, I said softly, but firmly. My voice didn't shake this time. It carried the weight of everything I had endured, but also the peace I had finally found. They both muttered awkward greetings, their confidence clearly shattered. Adam stood beside me, protective yet respectful, his eyes scanning their faces as though he already knew the story without needing the details. There was a long silence before Daniel finally spoke. You look good, he stammered. His words felt shallow, empty, as though he couldn't think of anything else to say. Emily forced a small smile, but it faded quickly when I met her eyes. That smile reminded me of the girl who used to share secrets with me late at night, who I thought would be by my side forever. And yet, she had been the one to drive a knife straight through my heart. You both seem happy, I replied, letting my words linger. I didn't mean it as a compliment. It was more of an observation, one that carried the question they both feared. Were they truly happy, or were they haunted by the way their story began? Because no love built on betrayal could ever be pure. Emily's lips parted as though she wanted to explain, but no words came out. Her eyes glistened, and for the first time in years, I saw guilt carve itself across her face. Daniel cleared his throat, but his voice cracked as he tried to speak. I know. I know what we did was unforgivable. I thought time would make it easier, but seeing you now, he stopped, shaking his head, unable to finish. I let him struggle. I didn't owe them my forgiveness, and I wasn't going to offer it. My silence spoke louder than anything I could say. Adam reached for a chair and pulled it out, as if asking me with his actions whether I wanted to sit and face them fully. And I did. I sat down, Adam beside me, while Daniel and Emily fidgeted in discomfort across the table. It was almost poetic. Once, they had stolen the seat beside me at my own wedding, and now, I had taken a seat across from them, stronger than ever. The cafe was buzzing with life around us, but at our table, time seemed to stand still. "Do you know," I finally said, "that you didn't just break my heart that day? You broke my trust in people, in love, in family. I thought I would never heal from it." My voice was calm, but each word was like a blade cutting through the silence. Emily's eyes filled with tears, and she looked down at her hands, unable to meet my gaze. Daniel shifted uncomfortably, his jaw tightening. "But I healed," I continued. "I rebuilt myself from the ashes you left me in. And now, when I look at you, I don't see the end of my story anymore. I see the lesson. You taught me what kind of love I never deserved. And Adam," I smiled, turning to my husband, "he showed me what real love truly looks like." Adam smiled back, his eyes full of warmth. He leaned closer, his arm wrapping protectively around me. That moment wasn't about revenge, it was about victory. Not the kind where you watch someone else lose, but the kind where you realize you've already won by living a better life than they ever could have imagined for you. Daniel exhaled heavily, running a hand through his hair. "I regret it," he admitted, his voice low. "Every day. We thought we were in love. But it's not what we imagined. It's complicated. It's messy. And I can't go back and change it." His confession hung in the air, heavy with irony. He had traded me for my sister, believing he had chosen happiness, yet his tone revealed nothing but disappointment and emptiness. Emily finally spoke, her voice breaking. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I've wanted to tell you for years, but I couldn't. I didn't know how. I didn't want to face you." Her tears rolled down her cheeks, and for the first time, I saw the cracks in the picture-perfect life they pretended to have. I nodded, but my heart didn't soften. Sorry was too small for the wound they had left behind. Some scars don't fade, no matter how many apologies are poured over them. "You don't owe me an apology," I said quietly. "Because I stopped needing it a long time ago. I don't need closure from you anymore. I already closed that chapter myself." Their faces fell, and silence once again wrapped around us. But this silence felt different, it was mine. It was the silence of freedom, of letting go, of no longer carrying the burden of their betrayal on my shoulders. When Adam gently tugged my hand, I knew it was time to leave. We stood, and I looked at Daniel and Emily one last time. "I wish you peace," I said simply. And with that, Adam and I walked away, leaving them behind in the shadows of their choices. As the cafe door closed behind us, I felt lighter. For the first time since that dreadful wedding day, I felt like I was truly free. Walking out of that cafe with Adam by my side felt like I was closing a door I had once been trapped behind. The weight of years, the humiliation, the tears, the anger, slipped from my shoulders with every step. Yet, as much as I wanted to leave it all behind, the truth was, the memories came rushing back the moment I closed my eyes that night. Lying in bed, I stared at the ceiling and replayed every detail of my wedding day, as though I was watching a film of my own heartbreak. And this time, I wasn't crying out of pain, I was remembering just how far I had come. Back then, after the betrayal, I had disappeared from everyone's lives. I avoided family gatherings, ignored phone calls, and isolated myself from the people who once mattered. I didn't want anyone's pity. I didn't want to hear the whispers of "poor girl" or "what a tragedy." I just wanted to vanish. For months, I lived in silence, dragging myself out of bed just to make it through another day. Food lost its taste, laughter lost its meaning, and my reflection in the mirror became a stranger. I didn't recognize the hollow eyes staring back at me, but as they say, rock bottom is sometimes the strongest foundation to rebuild yourself on. One day, while scrolling mindlessly on my phone, I stumbled across a quote that said, "Sometimes when things fall apart, they are actually falling into place." At first, I scoffed. How could betrayal and heartbreak ever be part of something falling into place? But those words lingered. I printed them out and taped them on my wall, forcing myself to read them every morning. Slowly, painfully, they started to make sense. I started writing in a journal, pouring out all the anger, the betrayal, the questions I never got answers to. Why did they do it? Was I not enough? Did they ever truly love me? Writing became my therapy, and each page I filled felt like taking back a piece of myself. Then, I began small steps, going out for walks, listening to music again, even cooking my favorite meals. Life didn't become magical overnight, but little by little, I began to heal. One afternoon, months later, I met Adam. It wasn't some fairy tale meeting, it was at a bookstore of all places. I was browsing the self-help section when he bumped into me, apologizing as a book fell from his hand. We both laughed awkwardly, and that laugh felt like the first genuine smile I had in months. We struck up a conversation, and from there, something unexpected began to bloom. Adam was nothing like Daniel. He didn't use charm to impress, he used sincerity. He didn't make promises he couldn't keep, he showed up when it mattered. At first, I was terrified of opening my heart again. Every time he complimented me, every time he held the door open, I wondered, what if he leaves? What if he betrays me too? But Adam's patience broke down the walls I had built around my heart. He never rushed me, never pressured me, he just stayed. Years passed, and what started as a gentle friendship turned into love. A love that healed instead of hurt. A love that didn't need to be questioned because it was proven daily in small, consistent ways. Adam knew about my past. He knew the scars I carried, and instead of shying away, he kissed those scars with his kindness. I began to see myself differently, not as the abandoned bride, not as the betrayed sister, but as a woman worthy of love, respect, and happiness. And that's why, when I saw Daniel and Emily again in that cafe, I didn't break down. I didn't let anger consume me. I didn't even feel the need to hear their justifications. Because I had already lived through the worst of it, and I had survived. No, I had more than survived, I had thrived. Still, after leaving the cafe, I couldn't shake off one thing, the way they looked at Adam. That frozen expression, that flash of something that wasn't just guilt, it was envy. They saw what I had, and maybe for the first time, they realized what they had destroyed wasn't just my wedding day, but the chance to ever have a love like this. Days later, curiosity got the best of me. Against my better judgment, I reached out to a cousin who still kept in touch with Emily. I asked how their lives had been. What I learned both shocked me and, in some way, validated everything I had felt. Apparently, Daniel and Emily's relationship wasn't the perfect picture they wanted the world to see. They fought often, jealousy plagued their home, and trust was something they struggled with every day. My cousin said Emily had confided once, admitting she often wondered if Daniel would betray her the way he betrayed me. That realization hit me like a wave of justice. Their love, built on betrayal, had become a cage. They had stolen my wedding day, but in return, they received a lifetime of doubt, insecurity, and regret. And me? I had walked away and found freedom. That night, I sat with Adam on our porch, watching the stars. I told him everything, how I had reached out to my cousin, what I had learned, and how conflicted I felt. Adam listened quietly, his arm around me, and when I was done, he simply said, "Their punishment is living with the choices they made. Yours is living free of them. Don't ever trade your peace for their pain." His words settled into my heart like a balm. He was right. I didn't need to seek revenge, or prove anything, or even wonder if they regretted their choices. Life had already written the ending for us. My ending wasn't tragedy, it was triumph. And as I leaned my head on Adam's shoulder, I whispered to myself something I never thought I would believe again: I am finally at peace.